Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Wednesday, April the 2nd, and welcome to our commentary. Well, April the 2nd, Liberation Day, whatever you want to call it, Tariff Day. This is the big day. This is the day that we were told, that we've been told for several weeks that this day was coming, that a big announcement was coming, and we got it today. The announcement is basically reciprocal tariffs. We are going to stay in the tariff business, but it's going to be reciprocal from now on. Whatever you charge us, we charge you. Now, I've got a post over at the American Thinker today talking about this, and the fact that I am willing for the time being to give President Trump a chance to see this thing work through. Now, this is not the first time. This is not the first time that a president has made a bet on an economic plan. Some of you may remember President Reagan in 1981 when he had the big tax cut that he finally got through in the summer of 81. And that tax cut was made for the purpose of reviving the American economy. It took about a year or so for it to happen. The 1982 midterm was not good for Reagan, but he turned it around, and in 84, he was reelected in huge numbers. So is it going to be like that for President Trump? Well, he's not running for reelection. So, but, is it going to be like that? Is it going to benefit Vice President Vance like that in 84? I don't know. All of this, as I said, is a bet. He's making a bet that this is going to work. Now, why am I optimistic that it's going to work? Because what we heard today was the president who was announcing all of these tariffs, but at the same time, he was sending out a message to the world. And the message is, look, guys, let's sit down and do business. It's already happening. It's already happening. We heard, for example, the premier of Ontario, Canada. This is a large industrial province in Canada. He said that we'll drop our tariff if you drop your tariff. That's the beginning right there. That's really the beginning of a very good negotiation. I understand that Mexico said the same thing. We know that Vietnam and Israel have said the same thing. So, we'll see. But if as a result of this announcement today, more and more countries sit down with the United States and say, let's negotiate, let's talk, let's work this out, I think that's a huge success for President Trump, because he'll get his tariff, but at the same time, he'll get a better trade deal, or at least a trade deal that encourages more manufacturing, let's say, or encourages more companies to move here, or lowers the trade deficit that we have with some of these countries. So again, he's betting on this. We're not, nobody knows what all of this is going to look like in a year. I'm going to tell you right now that I think it's going to work out. And I think it's going to work out for one very simple reason, and that is that you're going to have negotiations taking place here over the next few weeks. And I think more and more countries are going to do what Ontario or the province of Ontario is doing. Vietnam, India, I believe, is also calling to negotiate. So when you see countries do that, we're going to come up with the same business that we're doing right now, but the tariff situation is going to be a little bit more balanced, and it's going to help the United States a little bit more than what we have now. So I think that would be a big win for the American economy, and obviously politically, a big win for President Trump. Now, how long is that going to take? How long is it going to take for those benefits to show? Again, probably not right away. Probably not right away. There may be some things that increase in price if we don't negotiate these tariffs faster than maybe we can. So again, as I said before, I think President Trump is making a bet that his economic plan is going to work. And his economic plan is based on a couple of things. Number one, he wants to bring more manufacturing to the United States. He wants to protect the auto workers. And at the same time, he wants to lower the trade deficit. I think those are the three big objectives that I heard today. in this announcement from the Rose Garden there at the White House. I think it's going to work. And that's my post that I mentioned today over at the American Thinker. And the name of my post is that I'm going to trust President Trump on tariffs. And I am going to. I'm going to give this a chance. As I say, if it doesn't work a year from now, he'll either have to drop it or he'll pay a political price. But there's so much time ahead that I think he does have the time to see this thing work out. My gut feeling is that other countries need to continue selling in the United States. They need to continue bringing their products to the United States. And if in order to do so, they have to make it easier for some of our products to go into their markets, then I think most countries will come up with a solution for that or a negotiation for that. And I think if that happens, then everybody wins, the consumer, the manufacturers, and so on. Another point that I made in my post today over at the American Thinker, and that the president also made, is the whole question of national security. Look, I've been saying this for quite some time. We cannot continue to be a country that simply consumes. We have to be a country that produces what we consume. We used to be at one time. I mean, if you go back to the 1950s, 1960s, you go to the store, everything was made in the United States. I remember textiles, textile products. There was a huge textile industry in North Carolina, South Carolina, huge American textile industry in that area. That's all gone now. That's all gone. And where have they gone? To Central America, to China, Vietnam, or whatever. Now, are those textile factories coming back? Well, they may. Maybe they may. They may. If all of a sudden, it's cheaper to make jeans or whatever here than to bring it from Vietnam or wherever they are. So I think the president has the right idea. Again, the proof is in the pudding. We'll find out, eventually whether it's going to work or not. But I like what he's doing. I like the fact that he's willing to make this bet. It's a calculated bet. This is not a crazy bet. It's a calculated bet. And he's got some very good people around him, especially the Secretary of Commerce and the Secretary of Treasury. These are really sharp people who have been talking a great deal about this policy for several weeks. So I'm willing to bet that it's going to work. And as I said, we will know soon, probably no more than a year. We will know if it's going to work. If it works, then I think politically it's going to be a big boom for President Trump. If it doesn't, then, they may have some problems in the election of November 2026. But that is very far away yet. I mean, we're talking, a year and 6 months, 7 months before that election happens. A lot of things are going to happen between now and then. So I think this is the year for President Trump to make these bets, to make these decisions, and let's see what happens. But as of now, I am willing to bet that his policy is going to work, simply because those countries want to continue selling in the United States. And really, they cannot afford not to sell in the United States, because this is the market. We have the biggest market in the world, and they need to sell here. And if in order to sell here, they have to make it easier for us to sell in their market, I think there's going to be a negotiation made, and we will see a much better trade deal than what we have at the time. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But very interesting thing that President Trump is doing. Well, I've got a post coming out tomorrow about Senator Booker. You may have heard Senator Booker of New Jersey went to the U.S. Senate, I guess it was last night, and he gave one of those long speeches that they're called filibuster. I think that's what they're called, where they just go on and on and on and on speaking, and they don't stop. And there have been some famous ones in American history. Perhaps more recently here, Ted Cruz did one. I think it was 2013 or 2016 about Obamacare. He did one about Obamacare. And probably the most famous one is Strom Thurmond, Senator Strom Thurmond, back in 1957, when he spoke for hours, a long time, in opposition to the Civil Rights Act of 1957. But, those are the ones that come to mind. They've happened before, and I'm sure they're going to happen again. What made this one so interesting is honestly, how little he said. How little he said. I mean, it seemed like he was rambling most of the time. He was almost like he wasn't really talking to the American people. He was talking more to the base of the Democrat Party, because a lot of what he was doing is attacking President Trump's policies. And this comes at a time, I think, where the Democrat Party is looking for leadership. They're looking for new leadership. They want to, they don't like where they're at. And it's understandable. Their approval ratings are really low. And I think Senator Booker was simply trying to say, hey, put me in. Let me be your leader, almost like a tryout, like in college or in high school, and they have a big tryout and all the guys go out there and, try out for the football team or the baseball team or whatever. That's what it sounded like to me, that he was trying out for a candidacy for president, maybe the next time around or something like that. That's what it came across to me, as if he was doing something like that, because, as I say, he didn't really make a lot of sense in what he was saying. But if you're a Democrat, especially the base that is so dissatisfied with the leadership of the party right now, a lot of the things that he was saying are the kinds of things that the leadership wants to hear, or the base of the party wants to hear, which is that, we got to fight Trump. We got to fight Trump. Trump is an enemy. Trump is this and Trump is that. So that, I think, was the objective of this long speech. Is it going to work? Well, I guess we'll find out in 2028 when they have another primary and so on. But I think he's positioning himself to run for president. That's what I think Senator Booker is doing. And then we'll see. We'll see if it works out. We'll see if it works out. But the speech itself was, honestly, it was hard to follow at times. I tried listening to a little bit here and there, and it must have been really painful to the people who are recording it or sitting there in the television studio recording this, because it was a long speech. And as I said, he didn't always make a lot of sense. Well, let's go back. Let me close here by going back to 2005, or 20 years ago. Hard to believe 20 years ago, but it did happen 20 years ago. Pope John Paul II passed away on this day, and he had been ill for quite some time, had been out of the public view for quite some time, I think. But he died peacefully and gracefully there in the Vatican. My favorite pope, John Paul II, who was born in Poland, as I'm sure all of you know, and became one of the great figures of the 20th century. So 20 years ago, Pope John Paul II passed away, and he was eventually succeeded by Pope Benedict, who was selected about a month or so later. But Pope John Paul II, one of my heroes of the 20th century. Thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.